وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا ومطاعنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. قال تعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما أنا رحمة مهداة، أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. بلغ العلا بكماله كشف الدجى بجماله حسنت جميع خصاله صلوا عليه وآله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Respected elders, beloved brothers, Allah has blessed us with deen. And this deen is so valuable and this deen is so rich. I want to discuss an amazing event that took place in this month, in our history. This is the month of Dhul Qa'dah. And Rasulullah's blessed life, Makkah Mukarramah, 13 years inviting to Allah, inviting to Islam. Allah give us tawfiq. The next month is the month of Hajj. Allah's Nabi every year in Makkah, when the Arab tribes used to come to Makkah, he used to go there and meet them in the Hajj. Hajj was not fard in the early Meccan stage. But what Allah's Nabi would do there, despite Hajj not being fard, he used to go to Mina, he used to go to Arafah, he used to go to Muzdalifah in the Meccan stage. The Arabs were coming for pilgrimage. Allah's Nabi was not there for pilgrimage. He was there to invite them to Islam. So yes, it's important to study Rasulullah's Hajjatul Wada', that's very important. But what about what Allah's Nabi would do prior to that, before Hajj became fard? That was in Makkah Mukarramah. Through that Hajj, Islam then reached, through da'wah in the Hajj, Islam reached different areas. For example, Medina. One night Rasulullah was meeting people. So he met 6 young men from Medina. So he approached them. So he teaches us how we as Muslims have to approach people. So he met these 6 young men, As'ad, Rafi', Uqba, Qutba, Jabir, Auf. Remember some of their names, radiyallahu anhum. Sahaba's names can take us to Jannah. An appreciation of how much they did for us. If it wasn't for them, you and I would not be Muslims today. The greatest of awliya, kiram, are the Sahaba, radiyallahu anhum. Today we were discussing Surah An-Naml, chapter 27 in the Quran Kareem. So in this, Sulaiman alayhi salam is speaking to his companions. He's making mashura. And Bilqis is a queen worshipping the sun. Her and her community in Yemen. Sulaiman alayhi salam and his people are in Palestine. It's an amazing incident. He was first finding out why the hoopoe bird had left his duty. Because Sulaiman alayhi salam was on pilgrimage, he had returned, they stopped for salah. The hoopoe bird was not available. Where's the bird? Hudhud. So Sulaiman alayhi salam is upset. Where's this bird? Why did he leave his post? And he threatened the bird because of his defiance and leaving his post without permission. And more so, it's the time of ibadah, the bird would analyze the whereabouts of water. Where's the, we need water. Then he would command the jinn that were under his army to dig. And the water would be made available, and that's how they would perform their salah. Now the hoopoe left his post. Now there's a hindrance, there's a delay. So Sulaiman alayhi salam said, look at this incident in chapter 27 of the Quran. لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا أَوْ لَأَذْبَحَنَّهُ أَوْ لَيَأْتِيَنِّي بِسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. I'm going to punish that bird severely. لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ. Remember this in Arabic, when you hear this noon before a verb. أُعَذِّبَنَّ. It means definitely. And that lam before the verb is double emphasis. Then he said, I might slaughter him. But then he leaves some scope. Maybe he brings a suitable reason, then I will obviously release him. So no matter what wrong a person could outwardly seem to be doing. There could always be a reason for his action. So always leave some space in the heart for forgiveness, because maybe there's a feasible excuse. Allah forbid, something happened to his child, something happened to his family, something happened in his home. Always remember, as insan, there could always be a suitable reason or an acceptable reason that a person perpetrated what he did. In this, finally, when the hoopoe came and he explained to himself to Hazrat Sulaiman AS, "Ahattu bima lam tuhitu bihi." Oh Allah's Nabi, I came across something you didn't. What happened to the bird was, he was flying high in his free time and he noticed. Now, the Quran mentions the crux of the incident. Mufassirin now explain the details. What happened there was, this bird's name was Ya'fur. Hudhud is a hoopoe. And the name of Hudhud was Ya'fur. He met another bird coming from Yemen, Afir. And he spoke about Sulaiman alayhi salam and the greatness of his kingdom and him being Allah's Nabi and so forth. That bird was mentioning him coming from Yemen, and they worshipping, the queen there is very powerful, but they worship the sun. So this bird went quickly and saw this. It hurt him. It upset the bird. يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. The bird is hurt that they worship the sun and they don't worship Allah. What is the sun? Sun is Allah's creation. What is the sun? When you worship the sun, it's like you're worshipping, you got a servant in your house preparing your meals. A khadim or a slave. For example, in the past there were slaves, so it was understood. Okay, today let's say somebody working for you, in employment, you pay him salary. Now you go there and you start worshipping him, making puja for him. What a thing, what a nonsensical thing. That servant will say, what's wrong with you? I prepare your meal for you, I'm here for your service. The sun switches on the light and switches off the light for us. The sun, with Allah's permission, is our cook. With the brightness of the sun, Allah's mercy, that mango, that watermelon, that avocado, the khajur, all of this is Allah's mercy. Allah sent the sun to cook all of this for us. Worshipping the sun is like worshipping a cook. This bird couldn't bear it. يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. How can they do this? My Allah! They're not worshipping and they're worshipping the sun. So the bird was hurt. So this chapter is teaching us, what about you and I? People worship other than Allah, we don't even feel it. But the bird was hurt about it. In this, Sulaiman alayhi salam said, I'm going to see if what you're saying is true. So what we learn, always verify. Don't doubt a person, but always check. And now he writes a letter. And he sends it with a bird. There's different reports. Either he went with the other birds or the bird went alone, the hoopoe. And he goes to deliver the letter of Hazrat Sulaiman AS. When he delivers the letter, it arrives. Sulaiman AS commanded him, drop it on top of the screen. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّ عَنْهُمْ. Then leave them. فَانظُرْ مَاذَا يَرْجِعُونَ. Analyze and see what is their reaction and their response. So Bilqis was her name. She gathered her ministry, her commanders. She was a very powerful queen. She had 313 very, very high positioned commanders. And under each of them, there was 10,000 men. And under those 10,000 men, there's another couple of 100,000 people. She had a powerful army. And she was a queen over one region, and under her were another 400 kings, all leading their areas and vicinities under her. She was very powerful. So anyway, she receives this letter and she sees, إِنَّهُ مِن سُلَيْمَانَ وَإِنَّهُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. So we learn from here, Anbiya used to invite to Islam even with letters. Write letters, invite people to Allah. When she receives this letter, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the cover said Sulaiman, innahu min Sulaiman. And the letter started Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And then, and interestingly, after this surah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in his letters also used to write Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Because letters of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prior to this surah would have, in the name of Allah, Ilahi Ibrahim wa Ishaq wa Yaqub. It was a different start. After this surah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also would start his letters Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And invite all the people to Islam via letters. In this, Sulaiman alayhi salam tells her, don't be arrogant. Come as Muslims to Allah. Allah ta'lu alayya wa'tuni muslimin. Qalat is she said. Qala is he said. Ya ayyuhal mala. Oh my senior commanders, give me y'all's opinions. Aftuni fi amri. Tell me, what do y'all opine? Ma kuntu qati'atan amran hatta tashhadun. I'm not going to decide until you are present and tell me what you feel. They said, Nahnu ulu quwwa. We are such powerful people. We are powerful people. Wa ulu ba'sin shadid. We have strength. And we can engage in any war. You just tell us what to do. She said, I want to know what you all have to say. They said, anything you tell us, we're prepared to do. So she said, let's be wise. Let's see if this is really Allah's man. Or is he one of those ordinary kings? Because ordinary kings, if we're going to make trouble, they're going to come, we're going to fight. If we defeat, well and good. If they defeat, they'll crush our lands. They'll destroy the civilization. Innal muluka idha dakhalu qarya afsaduha. They just come into a town and they won't think, they'll destroy it. And if this man are some of those dunyadar kings, they're going to destroy everything, disgrace people. وَجَعَلُوا أَعِزَّةَ أَهْلِهَا أَذِلَّةً. They'll disgrace the honorable people. وَكَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. If this king is that category of people, and his purpose is this world, that's what he's going to do. She told them, I'm going to analyze. I'll do an examination. وَإِنِّي مُرْسِلَةٌ إِلَيْهِمْ بِهَدِيَّةٍ. I'm going to send a gift. I want to see. فَنَاظِرَةٌ بِمَا يَرْجِعُ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. My ambassadors, with what reaction would they respond, would they return with? What would the reaction of this king be to my gift? Basically some sort of a bribe to test. She sends a gift. Not any ordinary gift. 500 golden bars. One coin, one golden coin, what's the value? Haji Sahib, 45, 50,000, 40,000 rands, isn't it? Golden bar, 500, 1,000 slaves, so many other ornaments she sends. You know, something more valuable than countries of the world's treasury, she sent as a gift to Hazrat Sulaiman AS. Sulaiman AS receives the message from the Hupu that this is what they're planning. So he in his mashura says, let's show them that the world means nothing. Let's show it to them. And he gets his artisans and his people and the jinn that was serving under him. And they pave his entire city up to 30 miles, paving with golden bars. The whole paving to show them that what is dunya? Allah gave these things. This means nothing. So it was paved. This was to show that what is dunya? You're trying to bribe us with this. We don't even want your dunya. You come to Allah, otherwise we'll sort you out. This was Sulaiman al-Islam's message to her. Anyway, the entire city of his was paved and the walls were made of gold and beautiful creation of Allah. He let them loose there and the beautiful jinn as well. You know, all were. When Mundhir bin Amr was her commander's name, her ambassador that she sent with all those gifts and different sorts of gifts, slaves, all of that. When they arrived there, they got worried. We bringing gifts, these people they don't need any of this. They mustn't think that we took it, from their paving. Finally, when they present themselves before Hazrat Sulaiman AS and they awed by his status, by his position, by his dunya, he told them, Atumiddunani bimal? You're trying to buy me off? You're trying to give me your dunya? Allah has given me better. Tell your queen, she doesn't change her life and she doesn't stop shirk, I'm coming to sort her out. Hey, he got so petrified and awe-stricken by this. He returned quickly with the message that this is no ordinary man. He's not one of those people that ordinary kings. If we don't comply to the rules of Allah the Almighty, then otherwise he doesn't want any of our things. He doesn't need it. He was showing us this strategy of da'wat. How Anbiya alayhi salam used every strategy of da'wat. Then, as soon as she received this reaction of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, she realized this is no ordinary man. What she did was, she locked up her throne. Her throne was known to be the greatest human throne in the world. This was described by Hudhud. And Quran mentions her powerful throne. Historians describe this throne. Years ago we were in Jamaat in Yemen and we went to see this palace of hers. There were a lot of remnants of it. Magnificent. But Quran-e-Kareem says, وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ. She had a magnificent throne. It's described as, 40 arm lengths high, 30 arm lengths wide, and its breadth was 70 arm lengths, meaning huge, studded with gold, studded with emeralds, sapphires. It was the hallmark of her kingdom. The kingdom of Bilqis, the queen of Yemen, of Saba. She locked it. This throne was inside a palace, and that palace had seven huge doors. It was to reach there. It was totally fortified. And it was preserved. So she got everything locked up with the guards, with the doors, and then she departed. She says, I'm going to meet this man. Sulaiman AS gets the message. When she was few miles out of Palestine, he makes mashura. That morning after Fajr, he's making mashura with his men. What do we do? And then he asked, Hazrat Sulaiman AS asked his Sahaba, what do you all feel? And then he made his decision. He asked them, مَن يَأْتِينِي بِعَرْشِهَا. Who will bring her throne for me here? قَبْلَ أَن يَأْتُونِي مُسْلِمِينَ. Before they come as Muslims, bring her throne. قَالَ عِفْرِيتٌ مِّنَ الْجِنِّ. One very powerful jinn. He said, Hazrat, I'll bring it for you. But it'll take me a few hours. قَبْلَ أَن تَقُومَ مِن مَقَامِكَ. Before you get up after your mashura, so from Fajr or sunrise, when they sat for the mashura, after Fajr, after dhikrullah, they sat. By the time Zawal time comes, when you finish your morning session, I will have brought it. وَإِنِّي عَلَيْهِ لَقَوِيٌّ أَمِينٌ. Hazrat, I'm a very honest man. Qawi, capable. Ameen means amanat dar. So what we learn, this jinn was a buzruk, was a sahabi. Sahabi of who? Of Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam. Every Nabi's companions are Sahaba. And they all are buzruks. His name was Dhakwan or Sakhr. So we learn that there's good jinn also. Ifritun means a very powerful man, and an honest man, and a trustworthy man. Allah loves those who are honest, and those who are trustworthy, and those who are amanat dar, and those who are deen dar. On many occasions, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, I'm reading Quran to you, where's your reaction? He said to them. When I read the surah to the jinn, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, their reaction was they were touched by the Quran, and in shock they would respond and say, Allah, how can we ever denounce your bounties and favors? Ma bi shay'in min ni'amika rabbana nukadhibu falakal hamd. Allah mentions the jinn in the Quran on occasions where when they heard the message of Islam, Quran mentions on 2 occasions. As soon as they heard the message of Islam, immediately they went out and did dawat and tabligh. Allah mentions this in the Quran. وَإِذْ صَرَفْنَا إِلَيْكَ نَفَرًا مِّنَ الْجِنِّ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقُرْآنَ فَلَمَّا حَضَرُوهُ قَالُوا أَنصِتُوا فَلَمَّا قُضِيَ وَلَّوْا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِمْ مُنذِرِينَ. As soon as they heard the message of Islam, immediately they went town to town, country to country, person to person of their jinn, of their kind. Allah is telling us, learn, O ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are doctors, lawyers, scientists, physicians, industrialists, teachers, whatever our faculty, entrepreneurs. Allah is telling us, learn from those jinn. As soon as they heard the message of Islam, they went to call every jinn to Islam. You and I are Muslims for how many years? We can't even tell one person about Allah. It's a shame. We hear again and again our duty and responsibility, and we keep it to ourselves. As Muslims, no matter what our age, no matter what our color, no matter what our faculty, no matter what our field, Allah is telling us about the jinn, not for any reason, but for us to learn from them. Take the message of Islam and give it to the world. Every customer, every neighbor, every person we meet, explain to him in a few words that you know what? Life is short. The Creator who made us is one. He has no partner. We have to please Him. We have to make Him happy. Because we're going to die soon. This life is a test. Jesus is not God. He worshipped Allah. If he's a Christian, you tell him that. If he's a Hindu, tell him, good friend, we know each other for so many years. Think about it. Can I make something with my hand and put it here and we worship it? You'll tell me there's something wrong. And how am I insulting the maker when I made something with my hand and I'm worshipping that, when he who made me in such a beautiful form, I'm denouncing him? Isn't that ingratitude? Let that person think. Order him a cup of tea, buy for him a meal, sit with him a few minutes, talk to him. Then this masjid won't be so empty. Talk to him, bring him, explain to him. That jinn said, Hazrat, I'll bring it for you. وَإِنِّي عَلَيْهِ لَقَوِيٌّ أَمِينٌ. So Hazrat Sulaiman AS says, no, that's too long. So one Waliullah, his name was Asif. He was a Sahabi. The highest level of Waliullah is Sahabi. Hazrat Sulaiman AS Sahabi. Asif bin Barkhiya, radiyallahu anhu. He said, I'll bring it for you even before you blink an eyelid. سَأَتِيكَ بِهِ قَبْلَ أَن يَرْتَدَّ إِلَيْكَ طَرْفُكَ. Just look away and look back. I'll bring it for you. Hazrat, you want me to do it? Hazrat Sulaiman AS looked away, and her throne, that was the hallmark of her kingdom. Hazrat Sulaiman AS didn't need her throne. What was the reason he wanted the throne? It was to show her Allah's greatness and Allah's help with the Anbiya alayhimus salam. That's what he wanted to show her. The other lesson we learn here is, it's not that the Sahabi is greater than the Nabi. It's to show us how there could be great people in the world. Anbiya alayhimus salam are the greatest of people. But here, the karama of the Buzrug, of the Wali, is through the barakat of the Nabi. Not that the Wali is greater than the Nabi. It was through Sulaiman alayhi salam's barakat that took place. It was part of the miracle of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam. But it was the Wali. That's why you get certain people in the world, they don't accept the Buzrugi of the pious people. No. This is clear in the Quran. It was the righteousness of that Sahabi. It was his dua. But that was through the barakat of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam. But it's clear. قَالَ الَّذِي عِنْدَهُ عِلْمٌ مِّنَ الْكِتَابِ. And it was also to show the jinn that sometimes jinn become arrogant and haughty and think we are better. Allah wants us to have humbleness and humility, and then He'll make us better. Because we can be very, very powerful in the worldly standards. But if Allah doesn't accept us, we are useless, worthless, and nothing at all. قَالَ الَّذِي عِنْدَهُ عِلْمٌ مِّنَ الْكِتَابِ. He had knowledge and love of Allah, recognition of Allah. أَنَا آتِيكَ بِهِ قَبْلَ أَن يَرْتَدَّ إِلَيْكَ طَرْفُكَ فَلَمَّا رَآهُ مُسْتَقِرًّا عِنْدَهُ قَالَ هَذَا min fadli Rabbi. Allah honored him. Her throne was brought right there, exactly where Sulaiman alayhi salam's majlis was. What did he say? Not how powerful I am, look at my achievements. He said, Allah, teri fadl ki barakat se, hadha min fadli Rabbi. No matter what Allah gave us in this world, it can be a new car, it can be a wife, it can be a house, it can be children, it can be an investment, it can be a good deal. A deal went sweet. No matter what it is, an achievement, a degree. Hada min fadli Rabbi. It is but through the favors of my Allah. And it's not just a favor and ends there. We finish the end of the verse. We forget the end of the verse. Liyabluwani. My grandfather used to always say this. He would say that we have it there in our houses also. Hada min fadli Rabbi. But why don't we finish the verse? He used to say, what does the verse say? Liyabluwani. Allah wants to test us. We are under scrutiny. We are in an examination. Liyabluwani ashkuru am akfur. Am I going to appreciate Allah? Or am I going to be an ingrate? Akfur. Am I going to be a kafir? What is a kafir? The height of ingratitude, ungratefulness. Ashkuru am akfur. Am I going to be ungrateful to Allah? Then the incident carries on. I want you to read it in the Quran Kareem. I was planning to tell you about Hazrat Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's dream that took place in this month. That, oh my Sahaba, we're going for Umrah. 1600 Sahaba got ready and they undertook this journey and they went. Where they went? To perform this Umrah. The Meccans barred them. You cannot enter. So the Sahaba halted at Hudaybiyah. There was no water. O Nabi of Allah, we need water. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam put his hand in a pond that was dried up. Water came out gushing from the Mubarak hands of Janabi Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sahaba enjoyed that water throughout their stay. How fortunate are those who drank from the Mubarak hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The greatest water was that water that emanated from Janabi Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's Mubarak hands. This is no fairy tale. This is reality. Allah speaks about this entire event of this journey, Hudaybiyah, in chapter 48 of the Quran. Sahaba waited. Now they want access into Makkah. The Meccans say, sorry, no access. You want to see the Kaaba? Not interested. We'll never let you go through. They even sent an army to attack the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. Allah says in this chapter 48, Allah gave the Muslims victory over that army. Those troops that came. And Allah gave the Sahaba tawfiq to forgive them also. That is mentioned in this chapter. Read it. وَهُوَ الَّذِي كَفَّ أَيْدِيَهُمْ عَنْكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ عَنْهُمْ بِبَطْنِ مَكَّةَ مِنْ بَعْدِ أَنْ أَظْفَرَكُمْ عَلَيْهِمْ. Allah gave you the achievement. You defeated them despite them attacking you unawares. But you forgave them. That also is from Allah. Now they sent people to tell the Muslims, you cannot come in. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Hazrat Uthman. Hazrat Uthman, he made mashura with Sahaba. Radiyallahu anhum. Who do you all... Imagine, Allah's Nabi doesn't need anybody's mashura. What is he teaching us? This is how we must live. Live together. Ask people their opinion. Make people happy. Bring people together. Not one man show and I do everything and I decide and nobody can even give an opinion. That's not our way. Our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, what do you all feel? Hazrat Uthman's name came out. He agreed to that and Hazrat Uthman went in. A prominent, well-to-do, senior Sahabi from a noble family. This was to teach us a lesson. If Allah gave us fame, if Allah gave us honor and Allah gave us wealth, what is it to be used for? Use it for Allah. Don't feel, no, how can I tell them what they'll say? I'll lose respect. Allah gave the respect for what? Already we're failing. Hazrat Uthman entered. Cutting a long story short, he told the parliament of Quraysh, we're not here to fight. We're here for Umrah. Then Hazrat Uthman gave them da'wah. Rasulullah SAW told him clearly, in this Dhul Qa'dah, he gave them da'wah. Then he went to meet the Muslims who were suppressed. And he gave them the good news that Allah's help is coming soon. Then finally at the end, they sent different delegates from the parliament of Quraysh to tell the Muslims, you must return, you cannot come. Then finally they sent a man by the name of Suhail bin Amr, who was their ambassador and he was the most eloquent of Quraysh. He came. He dialogued with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They decided, okay, let's have a peace treaty. And this is what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted. Give us peace so we can do our work. And you can accept it if you want, you can reject it if you want. But there mustn't be fighting between us. This was the purpose of the truce. So the agreement was written down. This is an agreement between Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is Rasulullah. So Suhail stops Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't accept you as Rasulullah. Don't write in the document Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam agreed. He gave in. Let's bring peace. Ceasefire 10 years. Number 2, no one from Makkah can be accommodated in Medina. But if somebody doesn't want Islam and he wants to leave Islam from Medina, the Meccans can accommodate him. That's also an amazing history. And quite a few clauses like this. Sahaba were not allowed to perform Umrah that year. They were sad. They're returning. Sometimes you want something so bad, but Allah doesn't want it. Be happy. Accept Allah's decision. Allah will bring so much of khair in it. They're returning, feeling that we were defeated. Allah revealed this chapter. We gave you the greatest victory. Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina. So Sahaba asking Hazrat Abu Bakr, is this a victory? He said there was no greater victory than the conquest of Hudaybiyah. Normally a conquest, you fought in the battle, you won, maybe you got land, maybe you took booty. Yeah, what land, what booty? We didn't even see the Kaaba. What we got is Hidayat. 19 years went by, 1600 Sahaba, men. 4,000-5,000 women and children, yes. 2 years later, through this Hudaybiyah, such interaction opened up between the Muslims and the world. When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam now sent Sahaba to the countries of the world to invite to Islam, 2 years later, now 1600, 2 years later, 10,000 Sahaba. 1 month thereafter, 12,000 Sahaba. 2 years thereafter, that means 4 years. Yeah, 19 years, yeah, 4 years, 120,000 Sahaba. Radiyallahu anhu. Why? Because the non-Muslims now interacted with the Muslims. They saw loyalty, they saw integrity, they saw honesty, they saw character, they saw consideration. And Sahaba's invitation to Islam, never was there a deal without inviting to Islam. That took place in this month of Dhul Qa'dah. Beloved brothers, let us play our part. Let us fulfill our duty. Let us learn our deen. Let us talk about our deen. And what we don't know, we find out. And we always ask Allah's guidance, and we ask Allah's mercy, and make a difference. For anything we want to improve, do something, some energy into it, some effort into it, some sacrifice into it. That's how a difference can be made. Because then we'll be remembered, and with du'as when we leave this world, because life is too short. Make a difference. Let's make a difference. But for a difference, there has to be a start. There has to be a target. From one small town, Medina Munawwara, deen reached the four corners of the world. From this town, inshallah, this is Washbank, where deen will reach the whole world from here. But all of us, let's do it together. Let's do something. Allah give us tawfiq. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil ummi bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.